different denominators. If the denominators do not match, we need to find the least common denominator. And so what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the denominators by the missing factors. And then we're going to multiply the numerators by the same factors. And if we do not know the least common denominator, which is what we call it LCD, you can always multiply the two denominators together. And the reason that we multiply the top and the bottom number in each fraction is to keep the fraction the same value. So let's go over this. What does that really mean, right? If you have, say, 2 over 4 and you want to multiply it by 3 over 3, right? We're multiplying the top and the bottom by the same number. So we got 2 times 3, so that's 6. 4 times 3, and that's 12. So 6 over 12 is also 1/2. So it does not change the value because we just multiplied it by 1, essentially, because 3 over 3 is 1. So let's look at some examples. Example 1. On one winter day, there was 5/16 inches of snow that fell in the morning and an additional 1/4 inches in the afternoon. What is the total snow accumulation? So we're going to use the following to solve. So we have 5/16 plus 1/4. So what we can do is do the prime factorization for both of these. So let's do 4. It's just 2 and 2, right? We break it down. Now 16 can be broken down into 2 and 8. 8 can be broken down to 2 and 4. So then 4 can be 2 and 2. So we are going to notice that we have 2 2's here and 2 2's here. So what's different about this one is we have an extra 2 times 2 on the 16. So that's really important. So we're going to multiply the 1/4 by the missing factors, which is right here, these two. So we're going to multiply by actually 4. So let's go ahead and do 5/16. We're going to leave it that as is, and we have 1/4. And then we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 4, because we multiply the top and the bottom, which doesn't change the value, but we're going to get it to have the same denominator, so then we can go ahead and add. So we multiply the top together, and we multiply the bottom together, so let's see what we get. So we get 5/16, right, plus 1 times 4, so that's 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And let's go ahead and add. Well, this is 9 over 16. And then we can't break this down any further because 9 could be broken down, like by 3, but 16 can't, so this is our answer. So that's the total snow accumulation. Now let's do another example. So example 2, we're going to solve for the following. We have 11/12 minus 2/3. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to break down 12, so that's 2. And 6 can be broken down to 2 and 3. Example 2, we're going to solve for the following. We have 11/12 minus 2/3. So we notice we don't have a common denominator, so we're going to have to find the least common denominator between the two. And so because 11/12 can't be broken down, we're going to see if we can get 3 to become 12, right? So that's another way to look at it. So we see we have 12, so let's go ahead and see if we multiplied, say, 3, then by 4, we would get to 12. So what we're going to do then is going to rewrite this. I'm going to go minus 2/3. So if we need 3 to get to 12, we're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by 4. And then multiply the top together and we'll multiply the bottom together. So let's go look at that. So we have 11/12 minus, and we have 2 then times 4. So that's 8, and then we have 3 times 4, so that's 12. So notice how on this one we didn't find, say, the missing factors, but we did by just looking to see how we can make 3 into 12 to become the least common denominator. So that's another way we could do it. So now we need to go ahead and just subtract. So we go ahead and subtract just the top. We're going to keep the denominator. So what does that become? We have 11 minus 8, so that's 3. And then we have 12 on the bottom. Notice we have 3 12ths. We can divide both the top and the bottom by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that would be our solution. So let's do another example. Example 3. So we're going to solve for the following. We have 2 fourths minus 5 12ths plus 2 thirds. So notice we have multiple right fractions here. So we need to find the least common denominator. So if we're looking at 4, 12, and 3, we notice that we can probably actually just make 12 work as our least common denominator, right? So what's 4 missing, right? Well, if we were to rewrite this all out, we have 2 fourths. Well, we need to multiply both the top and the bottom by 3, because then that would get it to 12. And then we'd go minus 5 12ths. So first we're just going to deal with this right here. And then we'll deal with the second part, right? So we'll do it in 2 parts. So then 2 times 3, what does that become? So that's 6. Then over 12 minus 5 12ths. So how do we do this, right? We just go ahead and subtract the top, and we keep the denominator. 6 minus 5 is 1, and then we keep the denominator, so that's 12. So that's our first part. Now we need to do the second part. So we have 1 12th plus 2 thirds. So the question is, how do we get from 3 being our denominator into 12? Well, from the last video, we just go ahead and multiply it by 4 over 4. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have 1 12th, then we have plus 2 times 4, because we multiply what's on top. So we get 8, and then 3 times 4, so that's 12. Now we go ahead and now add. So we're going to add the top together, and we're going to keep the denominator. So we get 1 plus 8, so that's 9 over 12. Now 9 over 12 is our answer, but let's go ahead and reduce this both by 3 on the top and the bottom. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So it is equal to 3 fourths. Example 4. We're going to solve for the following. We have negative 11 over 14 minus 1/7. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. So we have negative 11 over 14. Before we rewrite this, let's think. So 1/7. Well, if we just go ahead and multiply the 7 by 2, we can get to 14. So minus 1/7, but we're going to multiply this fraction by 2 over 2. Doesn't change the fraction, so we can do this. And then we go ahead and we're going to multiply these together, and then we'll multiply these together, and then we can go ahead and subtract. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have negative 11 over 14 minus 1 times 2, so that's 2, and then 7 times 2 is 14. So notice we have negative 11 over 14 minus 2 over 14. So essentially, all we're doing is we are going minus 11 minus 2. We're going to keep the denominator, right? So that's the first one. We can just go ahead and write that. But we're becoming more negative, right? We're going from negative 11 over 14 minus 2 over 14. So our answer is going to be negative. And so another way we can do this is just to say like 11 is positive and 2 is positive. We're just going to add them together. So 11 plus 2, and that's 13, right? Or if you want to think about it on the number line, say this is a negative 11, and we need to go down 2. So that's negative 12, negative 13, right? Because we're moving this direction. So that's 2 units, right? And you could say this is over 14 if you want, or you can just show it as a whole number. But it gets us to the answer. So another way, right, we could do it this way by just like say adding these and say they're positive, but just remember that it's going to be negative, or you can like think about it in the number line.